Good afternoon. How are you all? That's very good. Nice to see you all again on this beautiful winter's afternoon. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've called this news conference to say something about the extraordinary intention of the Labor Party to reduce the role of the national government in the affairs of this country. I interpret their new federalism policy as being a policy of retreat by the national government from the affairs of this nation at a time when more than ever the Australian people want the federal government to play a more and not less active role in the affairs of Australia. In 2007, the two great sentiments within the Australian community regarding governance are nationalism and localism. They want their national government solving problems. They're not much fussed about theories of federalism or theories about blame games. They want outcomes. They want better results. The people of Western Sydney want better public transport. And if a greater involvement by the federal government in a whole range of areas leads to better outcomes, then they want the federal government involved. And you can interpret in no other way an intention by the Labor Party to loosen the controls over the spending of federal money by states. You can interpret it in no other way than a retreat by the national government. I mean, for example, if you get rid of specific purpose payments in relation to health, it means you can't guarantee that there'll be no co-payments introduced for public hospital treatment. If you remove specific payments in relation to education, you can't enforce national consistency in things such as literacy and numeracy and plain English reports and all the other national standards that people want. I mean, when I talk to Australian parents, they really want consistency and common standards throughout the country. They don't want a retreat from that. They want, if anything, to go forward to that. They are thinking more of this Commonwealth of ours being a nation rather than a collection of states. Now, I think this is a backward-looking policy. Mr Rudd has subcontracted his industrial relations policy to the unions. He's now intending to subcontract his spending policies to the states. He says it's about ending the blame game. It's really about reducing the role of the national government in the affairs of this country, and that is the last thing that I find the Australian people want. The Australian people want better outcomes, and they don't see giving the states more freedom, more flexibility and greater power to do what they want to do. They don't see that as a solution to better outcomes. I mean, you ask anybody who's suffering the public transport chaos of Sydney whether they think greater flexibility and greater authority by the state government is going to produce a better outcome. I think they would be very, very loath to say it. And can I just give you three illustrations in the past 6 months of where state and territory failure has required greater federal involvement to the public benefit. I refer to the Murray-Darling Basin scheme. I refer to the federal intervention in Indigenous policy in the Northern Territory, and I refer to the greater federal involvement in relation to disability services. I mean, the extra money we put into disability services was because what the states were meant to be doing, they weren't doing. Now, under the Rudd formula, what would happen is we would have given that $1.8 billion to the states without strings attached, so that with that additional money they could go on ignoring the needs of people in this sector. I mean, we raise revenue through various forms of taxation, and we have a responsibility to the Australian people to see that it is properly spent. And you don't discharge that responsibility by simply handing it over to the states without strings attached. This is 2007. It's not 1957.